Hey guys, how you doing? This is Bobby Davis from the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina, and I'm joined by Kevin Doyle, my producer extraordinaire. Hey Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, hold on, look at this. I'm the wrong side again.
We're on the wrong side again.
There you go.
All right.
Now the world is right.
We don't want to confuse people. So.
Yeah. Hey, so Adam's already calling us out on stuff. Look, like
being late.
Chill. I'm like 2 minutes late. Like it's fine.
Man, we were eating the virtual snacks in the
green room.
So that's what we're doing.
I'm totally gonna say now that we're never. There you go. Hold on. Raphael knows what's up. Fashionably late. That's just how we roll. I'm gonna start saying that now. From this point on, I'm just gonna put this out there. This stream doesn't start at noon. It starts around noon.
We do the best we can to get there at 12:01. We did have some camera problems this morning, so like, I got a new camera and it doesn't work yet. So like, we'll see it maybe next week or something like that.
We'll see.
But I'm excited about it. It's hot.
It's cool. We'll get there. It's gonna look awesome. We'll get there.
It's a pocket cinema from Black Magic Design. So we'll see. We got it going on.
Makes the webcam looks poor. I'm gonna have to change up mine, aren't I? So let's say hey to some people who are here. Daniel's here or was here because this was at 9:49 this morning. So
all right, cool.
Daniel was. I don't know if he's still even here. If he is, that's impressive. Well done. HHH is here. Beth is here too. She's interested in this. That's cool. That's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a good topic today. Friend MSV is back.
What's up, MSV?
Kelderth is here. Good morning, Kelderth. Of course, Adam's here. We know Adam's here. Raphael's here too. We've seen those guys already. Who else is here? Maverick's here. What is he saying?
My good friend David's here.
Okay, cool. Glenn's here too.
Yeah.
Who we got? Devonish. John's here. Hey, John. Good morning. Fiona's here. I think Fiona mentioned she was in the UK, so this is going to be
cool
for her. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right, John. Exactly. That's it. Even Maverick's calling us out for being late too. This is just sad. Esteban's back.
Be careful, Maverick. We're the judges on this Logitech giveaway. So
yeah, I've actually made a note now that he's said some bad things. So it's that. Yeah. Yep. And that's right, Beth. Noonish is good enough for us. Noonish is good enough for us.
That's it.
Let's see. I think I got just about everybody here. There's a few more people. Tube, SSM, Cesar is here. Hey, Cesar. Thanks for joining us. Astro World's back. Ryan Leclerc's here.
David's here.
David's here. Did I get David? I think I got David.
No, we got to get David.
Hey, David's here. What's up? Wilfred's here from the Philippines. That's awesome.
12 a.m. in the Philippines. Really?
Wow. We're nighttime watching for Wilfred. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's cool. A lot of people here today. That's kind of great. So we've got a good show today.
We do.
But tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, our time, you've got to turn those coding challenges in.
Yep.
I'm hoping that some of you guys are holding back so no one has a chance to adjust to your superior game.
Yeah. There's a few in there. There's not too many. So you guys have a great chance of winning.
There's a good shot that you can win this thing, and I think you can do it in less than a day. So just think about that and just kind of like put it out there, man. Write some code, make a challenge, win a keyboard and mouse. So
yeah,
you should show them what they're going to win again, Kevin. What are they going to win?
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I didn't have it ready. Hold on.
I'm ready, man.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I got you.
I'll let you do it. There you go.
There you go. The MX Master Keyboard Series. You can win this and MX for coding. Think Code, Master Code. Look at that. Look at that marketing right there, man. That's cool.
You can scroll those 1,000 lines.
1,000 lines per second. Actually, what's really cool is the backlit keyboard is actually very cool. You hover your fingers over and it just kind of works. So the lights come on. That's kind of neat.
We're hoping we get one in soon, so we can actually give you guys our opinion of it.
Yeah,
we know the mouse is good because we know people who have the mouse.
Yeah, so the guys on my staff have this mouse. They use it. Side scroll is amazing. And then there's
Yep.
And the programmable buttons are really cool. So you can win this set. I think it's a $200 US value. It is a US layout keyboard, but that shouldn't stop you. It's make Make our coding challenge, man. We've
Yep.
got it out there.
Yep. David says he's busy on something else. What's he working on? Face recognition now with AI. Very cool.
Yeah, man. That's kind of cool.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, cool.
Maybe
So yes,
build our app with face recognition. I don't know.
Maybe 8:30 a.m. my time.
North Carolina time.
Technically Eastern Daylight Time is what it is.
Yeah.
So yes, tomorrow morning. That's your deadline.
Tomorrow morning.
If you don't have it in by then, you're ineligible to win. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
We have to look at them.
From that list.
Make sure that you on Discord, which the link is or will be at the end of this down in the description. I don't think it's there yet. Make sure that you go on there, join the coding challenge channel. There's a couple of channels there, one for discussion and one for submission. Make sure you put it in the submission channel, and we will take a look at it, and we will choose a winner tomorrow, and we will announce it tomorrow.
Cool.
It's gonna be
awesome. That's kind of cool.
So what are we talking about today?
Quick meme. We'll do a quick meme.
You want to do a meme
we'll bring Leigh on.
Yeah. No, I have a meme ready because there was one submitted, and I actually really liked it too.
Okay. So, I haven't seen them yet, so
okay, cool.
Surprised.
Okay, you're like.
Explosions in the morning on your meme thing.
You gotta have explosions. Here you go. This is not so much a meme as just fact. So aligning items and justify content CSS equipment, plugging in a USB device, it always takes 3 tries to get it right. Yeah. 3? I've done 10 at some point. And I'm like,
so they do different things, so that's why people
yes.
Get them wrong.
Yes. It's like centering that div, right? It's sometimes. I thought that's pretty funny. But the USB device I can certainly relate to. It's an every single time thing for me. I actually saw, get this, I saw a little hack cheat the other day for this.
Okay.
And I was like, I thought about it and I was like, it still doesn't help me. And the little advice was to put like a little mark on the top side of the USB stick. So you put like a little T on the top side of it, so you put it in the correct way every time. So the top was the top. And I was like, yeah, but not all USB things are vertical. I have some that are sideways on my PC. Like, that didn't help me at all. Like, I'm still going to put it in the wrong way.
That's what's so brilliant about USB-C. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just flip it over.
Yep. It just works. It doesn't matter which way you put it in.
Yeah.
Same way with the Apple Lightning connectors are the same way. For a long time. Same thing, yeah. Okay.
So today we're talking about recruiting.
We are. We talk about this quite a bit.
Quite a bit, but we're going to bring in an actual recruiter now. So so that you can hear what he has to say. We've got Leigh Edwards. He's from Rebel Recruiters in the UK. And we'll talk about that in a little second. I got his bio here. Let me read this to you. He's an experienced recruiter that looks beyond the CV and the dodgy glitches. In my free time, you usually find him spouting off about some stuff on LinkedIn about recruiting and kind of the state of the industry. So I think he feels both sides of the equation here real well, because that's how we hooked up on LinkedIn. He also runs Level Up, a meetup in Nottingham that's helps people make it easier to break in as a junior developer or a graduate.
My part of the world.
Or even career changers, yeah. So I want to welcome Leigh Edwards to the show here. Hey, Leigh, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Very good.
Awesome.
Good. Cool.
You're from Nottingham, so tell us a little bit about Nottingham and where is that? So Kevin grew up there.
I love that you call it Nottingham. It's like it's the funniest thing.
Every American person calls it Nottingham, and there's always a Robin Hood joke in there somewhere as well.
Yeah, because we watched the Kevin Costner film, and that's how.
It's just like that, right? It's just like the Robin Hood film.
Oh yeah, exactly. Everyone has a bow and arrow. If you don't rob from the rich and give to the poor, you're actually not a real citizen of Nottingham. They just remove you. It's crazy.
What I like about that movie is that he started off with a pseudo British accent, and then I think the director said in about 20 minutes in, just drop it, Kevin. Just do what you do. And then he lost it. If you go back and watch it, he quits doing it like halfway through the movie. So.
Just once I want to see like an American-based movie where the actor actually has like a proper Northern accent, like they really really get in there. But they always sound like really really British, like the traditional British. But yeah, that'd be cool. Northern accents.
I think it's funny that here in American movies, we watch British people come all the time, and they do very convincing American, and you don't even know they're from Britain. And then you see an American try to do it, and you can't do it. Like Michael Caine is like brilliant at both sides of this. Even Henry Cavill was really good at it. So like,
I actually have a funny fact about that.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch House?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Like when Hugh Laurie did his audition for House, they didn't actually know he was British. They didn't know he was British. Like, despite the fact that he was obviously really, really famous and popular and like successful as an actor over here.
Right.
Nobody in America knew him.
And he still has a limp from being House and walking with the cane for so long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's dedication to the job.
Yeah.
That's dedication. Yeah. It's kind of cool. So let's say we got any questions in here like this? Real quick
maybe
before we get started.
Let me see here. Let's see. Here you go. Beth agrees with you. She was shocked to find out that he was British.
Yeah.
His name is Hugh Laurie, though. How did you not know?
It's a very British name.
It's a very British name. So like, yeah, we're always shocked with that. So it's kind of funny. So
yeah.
I always like it in American shows. They'll always have a reason for them to speak in British one episode.
Yeah.
Just because.
Well, so like I can't remember her name, but there was a very failed experiment. It was called the Bionic Woman way back, and this girl was playing the Bionic Woman. It lasted for like 10 minutes here, but she had to go undercover in Britain. It was funny.
There's always an Hello Governor as well.
Yeah.
No one Hello Governor. Like I've lived here for almost 26 years. I've never. That's an ironic thing. No one's ever walked up to me and said, "Hello, Governor."
Right.
Not even in London. Not even
where they're supposed to say it. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Pretty funny.
So what does Rebel Recruiting do?
Yeah.
So Rebel Recruiters, we're basically a recruitment agency. But we're a little bit different. There's kind of a thing in the UK where the recruitment market is actually a lot more saturated over here than it is over in the US, from my understanding. And like here, it's basically just like there are a lot of like massive agencies that are just kind of CV pushes. Like they'll just get loads and loads of CVs and they'll just ping them out and see what sticks. Rebel was kind of founded on the principle that we don't like the way the recruitment industry works. And we want to change it. So it's less about kind of making as much money as we can and, kind of getting as many placements as we can. We're here to actually help people and help companies. So, if you're a company where, you might still need us to recruit someone for you, but we go a bit deeper and we ask, okay, why are you struggling to recruit? What are you doing now? Let's have a look at your processes, your practices, how you actually approach recruitment. And let's change that so that even if you continue to work with us for like 5, 10, 15 years or whatever, you're doing that because you want to. You're not doing that because you have to. And there's been plenty of companies that we've worked with where they've used us, they've given us a shot against the other agencies and that kind of thing. And we've gone so much further than just kind of saying, okay, here's your candidate, we're going to bill you now. We've actually given them insights on the market, given them insights in the industry and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're kind of here to book the trend, hence why we're called Rebel, Join the Rebellion. But yeah, that's pretty much who we are.
Very cool.
We focus mainly on tech.
Okay, cool.
So you have a background in tech too, right? You have a background in development kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I pretty much left school when I was 17, and I had always wanted to be a developer and stuff like that. But life circumstances at the time, unfortunately, meant I couldn't afford to go to university. I had to kind of make money now. So I got a job in recruitment, which was logistics and transport at the time. So like heavy goods vehicle drivers and transport managers and kind of that kind of thing. And that kind of gave me my roots, I suppose. But I didn't like the industry at all. Also, didn't really like being woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning and shouted at. Not fun. Don't do that. And then I kind of completely switched sector. I went into education, like recruiting teachers and stuff. And it was at that point in my career that I realized how predatory the industry can be. Like, you know, how it's so much about money and about kind of making as much as you can and getting candidates out and stuff like that. And at that point, I was actually just going to leave recruitment completely after doing that for a couple of years. And I'd kept coding the entire time. I've always loved development, and by that point, I'd say I was a pretty okay developer, very, very junior, and I still am a junior developer. But, you know, I understood code, and I was passionate about tech and that kind of thing. So I got in touch with the managing director of Rebel, and I was like, okay, I am leaving the industry forever. So long. Thanks for all the fish. Can you get me a junior developer job, or can you tell me how I get this junior developer job? And he called me, and we talked for, I think it was the better part of 2 hours. And it kind of ended up with him saying, okay, you don't want to leave recruitment. If you left recruitment, it'd be a waste, because you're clearly kind of passionate about doing things the right way and stuff. So come and work with us. And the rest is kind of history, really. And yeah, so I still code in my spare time. I am trying to understand the nightmare that is Kotlin at the minute. It's a Java-based language. I don't like Java. I don't know why I chose to do this to myself. But I tend to kind of recruit for the roles that most, like, you need a technical understanding to really actually do what Rebel does. Right. Which is, you know, actually understand the candidates on a deeper level, understand the technologies on a deeper level and stuff. So that's pretty much where I've gravitated to. So if you think about things like embedded, C++, Perl of all things, right. I really like Perl developers for some reason. They're really cool people. Yeah, like the tricky languages. That's generally what I recruit for, just because I like the tech.
Okay, cool. So what do you think, if you're trying to break in, what's some good like advice you can give to these guys here that are trying to break in? What's one thing they need to like really do?
Code.
Okay.
Code. Yeah. But don't just kind of aimlessly code. There's a big tendency when you first start out to, you know, do loads of tutorials and build loads of kind of top 5 apps that you must have and that kind of thing. That's great, but like you need to be doing things that, like, you're solving a problem. And so it doesn't really matter if, like, you want to, if you want to code something that solves a real life problem for you. Like, one of the things that I'm kind of building at the moment is I'm a power lifter and I'm terrible at plate math. Like, if you ask me to put 250 kilos on the bar, it's going to take me about 15 minutes to work out what 250 kilos actually is. So I am going to solve that problem for myself by building an Android app that does it for me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put in the amount of weight that I want, and then it's going to show up with how many reds, how many blues, how many yellows. But because coding isn't just about code, and I'd say honestly, it's only 20% of your actual job.
Yeah.
The rest of it, you are a professional problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
So employers want to see that you can solve a problem. Doesn't matter if you always get to the right solution either. Like, but if you can show them that you try to work towards a solution in a logical way to fix a problem, like you're doing really, really well. So yeah, code, solve problems, have evidence that you've done it.
Yeah. So I was, not to like just totally go off thing here. You said something I want to go back to. You said something about the powerlifting, putting the weights on. What are the red, blues, and yellows? What is that?
So I'm going to have to do this in pounds, aren't I? Or am I okay to do it?
No, but like you did them by colors. So like if you go in a gym here, they're just all iron. You have to like look at the size and try to like pick them up and say, oh, that's a 45. You know, like.
So competition spec plates are colored, so that you can easily like tell how much weight They are.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I learned something new today. So they're
Yeah.
they're colored by their weight.
Yeah.
You go in an American gym, they're just all iron. You just don't know.
Maybe Alan didn't buy the good ones.
Yeah, I think it depends on what gym you go to. Like I am really, really spoiled with my gym. Like they have competition, like spec everything.
Okay.
And I haven't seen a grey plate in about 2 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
There you go. Interesting.
So Tech says that he's seen them with colors in the U.S.
Oh, there you go.
This just tells you how much I'm in the gym, Tech. Really, that's just kind of what we're really talking about here. So,
I don't know. You've been going a lot recently.
I've been going a lot recently. Yeah,
we have a gym right next door to the office.
I have plenty of weight on me that I can use my weight as the body. You know, I use my body weight for a lot.
It's like you're cultivating mass. That's what you do.
Exactly.
That's it.
Like,
So my 10 push-ups are better than most because I weigh so much. So.
I mean, I weigh 72 kilos. So, body weight stuff for me is easy. I'm basically cheating.
Yeah. So yeah, I always see guys doing pull-ups in the gym. You know, he's going about $120. You know, like, man, if I weighed 120, I could do 10 pull-ups.
Yeah.
So, but so they need to code. They need to make things. I do like solving real problems, though. We kind of talk about that a lot here on the channel. Even though we recommend like you building a bug tracker, but our video is about solving a real problem, and I think that's important. And like solving it like for weightlifting or whatever is important. I think because I think creativity comes out when you have to solve something out of necessity. So
yeah, definitely. And it's even better if like. There's this hang up where you need to have a billion projects, but you don't. Like if you build one massive project that just shows that you can do a lot of things that are real. Like if you can solve a real business problem, you just need something to talk to them about. That's all you really need.
Exactly.
Because what are you going to say about I built tic-tac-toe? Not much. You can say functions and. That's great. But
we talk about that all the time with tic-tac-toe. Like
I always say, if you're going to build tic-tac-toe, you need to build the tournament edition with matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking. Or even like I don't know if this is in the UK, but like there's a game here called Connect 4, which has a grid of like 100 things on it. And you got to get 4 in a row somehow. Solve a real problem that's a little bit more difficult than tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. As well as that, like as a recruiter, I can tell if you've just solved something from a tutorial, because I'll have seen it already.
Yeah.
Like if you think about how many GitHubs and portfolios and stuff I have to see on a yearly basis, right. I will have seen it before.
Right. Is there one thing you see a lot of? Is there one very popular thing or a couple of very popular things that you would suggest people don't put on their portfolio?
I think there's nothing wrong with putting, like, I think with a portfolio, you need to be a bit more selective. If you're just kind of linking your GitHub though, there's nothing wrong with including everything you do, and I'll always recommend GitHub over a portfolio, because your GitHub shows that you code every day. Like if I go onto someone's GitHub or if someone goes onto my GitHub, they can literally see that I did 17 commits in March, I did 8 in June, and that kind of thing. The portfolio is very, very static. Mm-hmm. Like that's where you put off the things. That's where you put the things that you're proud of. So the things I would say you don't really put up are just like really, really like basic things. Like because why would you be proud of? I get it when you're first starting out, but 6 months on, after learning for kind of 12 weeks or whatever, are you really proud that you can do tic-tac-toe?
No.
Are you proud that you can build a calculator? You need to put things on there that you're proud of. I mean, to be honest, if you're looking for a front-end developer position, a lot of the time your portfolio is your portfolio, if that makes sense. Like how your portfolio looks from a front-end and UI and UX point of view, that counts. That really, really does count. So if you're looking for like a front end role, like your portfolio can look really, really good and have nothing else on there.
Yeah.
Like if it's responsive, if it works on everything, like if it's quick, if there's a contact form, basic front end stuff, that can actually do you pretty well.
Okay, cool. So the portfolio is important. I think GitHub's important. What about like the interpersonal skills? How do you coach people on that kind of stuff?
That's the trickiest part.
Yeah.
Because you can the way I've always put it is you can teach someone to code. You can't teach someone how to speak to someone. It's very, very difficult to teach interpersonal skills. And luckily, tech is one of those industries where you don't have to have the gift of the gab.
Right.
I've met developers where if I put them in recruitment, it'd just be like, oh god, what's happening, and stuff, because I need to talk for a living. But I think as long as you're polite and as long as you can do the basics of human interaction, if someone asks you how you are, your reaction isn't beep boop loading response 3. If response 3 not well received, then and stuff like that. You need to just be able to talk like a human, and don't be scared of interviewers either. Don't be scared of recruiters. Recruiters and me, I am not intimidating. I'm 5'5". I'm just doing my job. Like, I just want to talk to you. So I think the further along you go in your career, though, the more important your interpersonal skills are. There is a point where interpersonal skills overtake what you can actually do with code.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that's some people have that, some people don't, some people want that, some people don't.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen people get past all the technical stuff and then they fail on, or they meet with the CEO and all they had to do was be nice and they just can't do it. I don't know what it is. You got past whiteboarding, you got past all this other stuff, and the guy just wants to see if you're a normal person, and then you get turned down. How would someone practice that? How do you think they could practice it?
Do a group project. It doesn't have to be a group of 17 people. Or if you right now we're in lockdown and stuff. But there are open source projects that you can contribute to. No one is stopping you from contributing to open source. And as part of working on an open source project, you have to communicate.
Okay.
You have to learn how to be told that you're doing something wrong and how to take that. You have to learn how to ask people what they did with X function because they haven't commented it properly and stuff like that. You have to learn to communicate if you're working on open source. So, and open source isn't this massive thing, by the way. Like, there are a ton of open source projects out there that are aimed literally at beginners or at junior people to help them with develop these team skills and stuff like that. Because ultimately as a developer, you're not going to be delivering massive speeches or something like that at shareholder meetings, but employers do need to know that you can communicate with teammates, because communication is a big part of software development.
Yeah.
Yes, devs sit there with headphones in for 8 hours a day sometimes, but there's also probably another 16 hours of the week where they were in meetings, or they were pair programming, or they were sitting down with a peer and going through a roadmap and stuff like that. So that's probably the easiest way to stay with the programming and actually have something to add to your portfolio in your GitHub while learning those team skills. Open source.
Cool. So David Turner wants to know. Yeah, so David Turner wants to know, how do you find these open source projects? Do you have any that you recommend?
There was a list actually that I found on Reddit ages ago. And I don't have that anymore because I got a new PC. But if you hang on, let me just go on GitHub and see if I can find open source.
Just Google it here.
I'm sure
if you just go and Google GitHub open source, you'll find a lot of projects. Or there's Reddit and stuff like that. Open source is everywhere, and it's awesome.
You're right, Reddit's a good source for stuff like that. Yeah. Here's another question. Esteban has a question. How often do you see an interview, and we talked about this a little bit, but how often do you see an interviewee present something that you've already seen before? Ever seen someone come in with the same thing as someone else?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not bad, by the way. There's this I speak to this great tech lead a lot on LinkedIn, and he has this saying like every single line of code has already been written by someone else. Okay. Every single one. So it kind of goes to reason that you speak to enough developers as a hiring manager or as a recruiter or whatever, you're going to kind of see the same stuff. But
I wonder if Esteban was talking about like plagiarism, like where someone just absolutely just copied something and just stuck it in their GitHub.
You know that pretty quick, right?
Me, yes, because I can code.
I'm not going to know the answers.
Yeah, I mean a hiring manager, so someone that actually knows like how to read code and stuff. You're very, very quickly going to get found out.
Yeah,
if you plagiarize code, and that's not because they'll have seen the code somewhere else before. It's because you'll slip up and you'll leave a statement in there, or you'll leave a function in there or something like that shouldn't be in there because it's not part of what you've done. And that's the danger of like copying and pasting from Stack Overflow before you understand how the code works. Is because you're going to end up with a lot of things in your code that someone that's interviewing with you, they're going to look at that and say, any particular reason that's there. And I've had that in the past. I've had candidates go for interviews and stuff, and they've returned code tests, and I don't bother looking at them because I can't change them. I can't do anything as a recruiter. It's dishonest to do it. But I send them on, and the hiring managers come back and said, "Okay, really, really great code, but she's left this in, and we don't know why it exists. There's no need for an array here. So we're pretty sure she just copy and pasted that." And yeah, so my advice there is don't plagiarize code. You can copy and paste code if you want to, but make sure you understand what the code
what's going in it. Yeah.
And that's something we talk about too. That's the same advice we give. It's like it's okay to Google a solution for something and figure something out, but you've got to understand how it works.
Yeah. So we do code reviews here in the boot camp, and we go through line by line. What's that do? What's that do? You know what that does? Explain to me what that is. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Right, cool. Tommy has a question too. So he has a separate GitHub for work, and I guess a personal GitHub too is pretty dead. Could you even look at a company GitHub?
No, they're usually private.
No. I mean, I would assume if someone's has like a separate GitHub for work, they already have a job,
right?
So at that point, you kind of have the experience to back yourself up, and you're not really you've eliminated the hardest part of being a junior, which is getting your first job. I mean, if my opinion on it is, if you have the time though, and you really, really care, like a lot of the first 2 years of your career, at the very least, you should still have a couple of personal projects, right?
Yeah.
Because you can still learn so much building things in your spare time. Because you're not going to do exciting things with every employer, sadly. I'd love to say that you will, but sometimes you are, as a junior, you're bug fixing, or you're refactoring things and stuff like that, which is still going to teach you a lot, but it's not going to take you to the next step.
Right.
So you should be building stuff in your own time that will.
Right. Andrew Mercer says, I guess it's up-4-grabs, I guess, and that's .NET as the website. It's a good collection of open source projects. So there you go, everybody. That's cool.
Yay, open source.
So there you go.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Love me some open source.
So what's the market like in the UK? Is there still stuff going on there with COVID, or like what's it like right now?
It's on the up. It's companies are pretty cautious from a junior perspective. And I think in a sense that is the right thing to do. Because if you're a company that you can't say if you're going to have time to like mentor and guide a junior, you shouldn't be taking them on.
Right.
At that point, you just want a cheap developer, and that's not fair.
Right.
A lot of juniors end up in that position, and I speak to them, and it's really, really sad because they kind of waste a year of their life. but yeah, in a more general sense, the job market's definitely on the up, and we're in tech. Like you're going to be the least affected at a time where people are saying that you have to stay at home because you can do your job from home. And it's a lot trickier as a junior. You have to be a bit more kind of self-motivated. You need to kind of have those skills ready to say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing now, and stuff like that, which is a lot easier in person. But you need to do it. You have to do it. Yeah.
Cool. So talk on. We asked this in the thing, and we were actually surprised. Talk to us about what because I'm like partial to this, but what's the .NET like in the UK?
You're not partial to .NET.
I'm partial, but like,
why you gotta make me admit it? Why? .NET is like very, very big in the UK, especially in the East Midlands where I live. I have a colleague, Misha, who's a lead dev recruiter, and she's built her entire market and recruitment and stuff like that around the .NET market. It's a big language. It's a big kind of set of tools. It's a big stack over here.
Cool. Yeah, that leads us to this guy. I was asking him.
I was going to say related to this exact question. Now I know your answer to this because we talked about this already.
Yeah. So I'll kind of. You should at the very start. You should learn how things work, so that language is irrelevant. But then, when you do settle on a language, you should settle on the language that will get you a job.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the market. Like if there are 3 companies in your area that employ Android developers, but there are 72 companies in your area that employ .NET developers, it makes a hell of a lot more sense if you're just starting out to get that .NET job,
right?
To learn that .NET, because you might turn out to be a very, very, very talented developer, and that you're always going to learn languages later on anyway. It's one of the key skills of a developer. You're never going to stick with one stack. There's always new tools and stuff like that. But if only 3 companies are potential places for you to work and they're not hiring right now, I'm really, really sorry, but you're not going to get a job.
Right.
Like, which is, in my opinion, it's generally why junior web developers have an easier time getting recruited than, software developers, because web is just way more prevalent.
Right now it is.
But yeah, if you had a choice between, 2 languages or whatever, go with what's hiring in your area.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what we say. And it's like it's crazy how I think that just should be common sense, but like a lot of people just want to pick. They'll ask a developer, what should I learn? And then that developer typically will pick something that they're learning, but that's not what they're doing for a living all the time. It's just something that they're interested in right now. And if you ask them 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks later, it'd be something different, especially these high-end kind of rock star type developers. They're always like playing around with something, you know.
2 weeks ago, it was Dino.
Yeah.
Nobody's taken the chance at Dino the last 2 weeks, guys. So
you can do that. Like you can still play with other languages and stuff because once you know one language, you know the rest.
Yeah.
It's just a syntax thing. But you need to be targeting the areas that are going to get you a job.
Yeah, especially trying to break in as a first-time junior. Yeah, like once you've done it 3 or 4 years, I mean, like you can play around with whatever you want at that point, and then they'll hire you for anything. But like juniors, I think you have to like align the stuff you know how to do with the jobs you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then just whittle that list down to something smaller, like a 1 stack instead of trying to learn 15 things.
Yeah, a lot of juniors overwhelm themselves that way as well. Like they come away having done like 15 courses, but they don't know how to do it.
See that? That's a common question we get here too. So Maverick has a question too, which back to something we were talking about. So if I don't know what's wrong in the code, I put it on Stack Overflow. Someone writes the correct code for me. Is that considered cheating?
My opinion is no.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to ultimately understand it, though. Is that?
Yeah. The point about being able to understand it still stands.
Yeah.
Because how do you know if that person writes the correct code if you don't understand what the code does?
Right.
And second,
yeah,
you have to integrate it into your project.
Yeah.
So like that's always going to be a problem solving. That guy's going to write the solution in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Typically, you just can't just absolutely cut and paste it. You know.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Yeah.
Maverick's also convinced that we're shadow sponsored by Coder Foundry by Microsoft.
We're not.
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
You're definitely not, and we're definitely not too. We've said this a million times. We obviously talk up .NET a lot. We talk up C# because we think it's the thing that a junior developer should learn because of our market. And every so often, people are like, "Are you sure you guys don't take Microsoft money?" Like we don't.
No, man. It's just what served me well. I mean, we're sponsored this week by Logitech. So
I wouldn't, look, if they were sponsored by like Microsoft or something, I wouldn't be allowed on here. So,
right.
I'm sat here talking about like Android and
right. So, yeah.
Is a good question too from HHH. I like to code, but I don't like to stare at a computer screen all day long. Should I still become a software developer? Interesting question. What's your opinion on this?
See, that's an interesting one because as a software developer, you're not always staring at a computer screen all day long. But when you are staring at the computer screen, you're really staring at the computer screen. Like you're giving it the eye and everything. You're like, why don't you work? I think if you like to code, but you don't necessarily want to stare at a computer screen all day long, you should maybe look at other careers in tech that still involve coding, but aren't necessarily software development positions.
Right,
Ooh, that's interesting. What would that look like? What is that? What's that kind of? Is there something that you can think of?
There's loads of stuff you can go into. Like there's automation testing. There's UI UX. There's web design.
Project management.
Project management, Scrum Master. There's loads of like. This is what I love about tech. Like everyone seems to think that tech is all about like software developers and stuff, but nobody's paying attention to the millions of other people out there that actually enable software developers to do what they do without kind of blowing up the world. Like imagine if there weren't testers.
Yeah.
Scary.
Exactly.
And if you go into like automation testing and stuff as well, you still get to code.
Some companies don't use testers though, Lee. That's
some companies just don't use
as a consultant, I can vouch for that. I usually tell my customers all the time, like, hey, we're gonna test this either in production or out of production. But one way or another, we're testing this code, you know, and like the question is, do you want your customers to test it or do you want to test it internally? And so like because a lot of times when we're doing a fixed bid project, they don't want to pay for QA.
Yeah.
So how do you want us to test it? We can just throw it over the wall.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yep. Here's just to validate. Here's a question / statement to validate another point that we were just talking about. But like David's saying, what if he liked C# more than Java? Should I learn Java so that I can get a job? Same with a web developer. It comes back to that same point, right? It's not just because you like it. Is that enough?
Yeah. I think the sad reality that a lot of junior developers eventually have to face is that you're not always going to be working on stuff that you like. There will come a point where you absolutely get to choose the tools that you work with. And again, no one is forcing you to use C#. It's just if it's the most relevant tech in your area, it makes you more employable. And there will come a point where you never have to touch a line of C# code again. And that's normally not too long. Like after a year or 2 years or whatever, you go do whatever stack you want to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, like even when you're using your favorite language, you're not going to be working on things that excite you.
Okay.
Like
I like this question right here because I think this is a misconception when people look at us inside the U.S.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
this guy
outside the US,
he wants to work in Silicon Valley, and I think you're in Nottingham, so like I think we need to advise people. Like people think that Silicon Valley is like the pinnacle of like software development because Facebook, Google, and Twitter are there. But there's thousands of companies in every middle-sized city in the UK and in the US that you could work at. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming, Leigh, that you're not placing people at Google, right?
No.
Right.
Right.
So what kind of companies are you placing people at? What do they do?
I mean, Rebel as a whole, we work with a couple of big names who I'm not going to name here just in case.
Sure.
Don't want to upset anyone. Yeah, I don't want to upset anyone's marketing team and get sacked. But me, I love working with the companies that nobody knows they exist.
Right.
And truth be told, a lot of the times those companies have exactly the same salaries, they have exactly the same benefits, and they're doing things that are usually more interesting from a problem perspective as well, because they're either doing it with less resources, or they're doing it with a different customer base, or they're just solving an entirely different problem whatsoever. Like I worked with a company last year, and they were a team of 2 people, and they were building technology based around drone security, which is awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
but
cool.
if you didn't specifically, and I'm not being big-headed here when I say this, if you didn't speak to either me or the CEO of that company, you wouldn't know they exist.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then too, like I think, and it's nothing wrong with working at Google or Microsoft, and there's nothing wrong with working at the big tech companies, but like, it's not Mount Olympus like you think it is. Like, no. Do you really want to work on Gmail? I don't. I mean, like, it's cool, but like for like 20 minutes, then you're like, man, I'm going to go do something else. That's something more interesting than working on an email client or, something else.
I mean, I'm sure there's people there that are doing cutting edge stuff. There definitely
Absolutely.
is. But going as a junior, you're not going to be one of them.
Right. So, and plus the cost of living in Silicon Valley is like outrageous. Like you can make so much more money in like Kernersville or Ohio or Nottingham than you could in San Francisco.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now people understand that a regular house in San Francisco is like $1 million.
Yeah. For a tiny house, not even a house sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's stupid. It's dumb. I mean, like, and for $1 million here in North Carolina where I live, you could buy like a mansion and like house half the neighborhood in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here you go. Taki has a good question. Taki says he's curious. What do you think people in college can do to stand out in the crowd? What does a recruiter look at when looking at a college graduate?
Okay, good question.
This is going to be different for me because I'm from the UK, and we have a very, very different attitude to university or college than you guys do over in the States. But I can answer most of the question and make it apply to both countries. But as a recruiter, when I look at a graduate, I'm kind of looking at your CV, but there's not really a lot as a graduate that your CV is going to tell me. It really, really isn't. And that's not to say that, I think degrees are meaningless or anything else like that. They are really, really important if that's the way that you chose to go and stuff. But it doesn't really tell me you're a developer. Again, we kind of have to go all the way back to that portfolio in GitHub. Like if a junior developer genuinely didn't send me a CV, but they sent me an absolutely amazing portfolio in a GitHub, I'd never need to see that person's CV, ever.
Yeah.
Is there a junior? What am I going to get from it?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting.
I don't.
So in terms of what you can do, again, just back to the first question: build stuff, solve problems, and then demonstrate that you've done that.
Yeah, I think this is a misnomer too that happens.
Job postings are usually looking for senior developers, whereas there are a lot more demand for senior positions than junior positions. Are you putting people in junior and senior positions too? Then?
Yeah.
What do you see in terms of that? Then you think that's true or no?
It's kind of like if you're hiring, even in a general sense, for your football team, right? Would you rather recruit the person that already knows how to kick a ball, or would you rather recruit the person that is just learning how to kick a ball?
Right.
So, very, very bad analogy, I know. But so the general perception, yes, is that there are more senior developer roles, but that's because there are less people to fill those senior developer roles, because a lot of developers just never get to that point. They either don't have the mentality, or they drop out of the industry because it's not what they thought it would be, or they just don't have the people skills to be what that company needs in a senior developer. Whereas then we go down to the junior market, and there's a million people that want to be a software developer. So it's kind of a supply and demand sort of thing, but that doesn't mean it's harder to get into either. It just depends on what you can offer.
Yeah, I think so. And then sometimes companies can't afford the senior guys, so they're looking for that junior developer that can like scale up.
Yeah,
I think
the thing to be wary of there, though, is when the company says they're looking for a junior developer with 2 years experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad sign. It's a bad sign.
They just don't have they don't want to pay as much. So
yeah, the company doesn't want a junior dev. They want a mid-level dev for the price of it.
Yeah.
So people that ask for like a developer with experience in cybersecurity, UI, UX, and all that, like you don't want one person, you want three, man. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
We see the exact same things here.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same.
I rant a lot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's very true. So before I get to the question here, I have a sort of a thing too to talk about. So I think one misconception we see a lot of with working with recruiters is like how you make money as a recruiter. Like as a somebody coming in as like, hey, I want to get a job. The first thing is like, why are you doing this? Like, why you hold on? I don't owe you any money. Like, I don't pay you. Like, how does that work? And I think a lot of people get confused about that, or they think there is a payment somehow at the end of it. Like, you somehow take some of their salary or something. Does it work the same way in the UK as it does here? I'm assuming it does. But the company's paying, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about contingent recruitment because retained is a completely different ballgame.
Okay.
And retained will generally only happen with like senior level positions. At least over here, companies just don't want to put themselves at risk. But contingent recruitment, I charge a percentage of your salary as a fee to the client. So let's say I get you a job and you earn, and that job offer is £40,000 per year. My fee is not 15% deducted from your salary or whatever. My fee is the value that you were placed at plus 15% on top. There is also a misconception that this sometimes means candidates will get a lower offer.
Yeah, we've heard this too.
Wrong. It's completely false. Because the thing is, I get paid on what you get paid. I get paid on what you get paid.
The most amount of money.
Yeah, my job isn't to just be there for the client or or save the client a load of money. If I did that, I would not have a job.
Right.
Like seriously, if the only thing I ever did was say to a client, okay, how cheap do you want this guy? I'd make sense.
Right.
Right.
Because the client wouldn't be able to recruit because they're hiring for a CTO at £18,000 a year. And yeah, it doesn't even come into consideration.
Yeah, I think people do often get confused that you're aligned with the client more than the person trying to get the job. I think that's just it's a common thing that I think we see a lot of.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be that way. It really just does depend on the recruiter you're speaking to.
Right.
Like even as a junior developer, please be careful with the kind of recruiters that you work with. The only thing I would ever kind of say is don't be rude to your recruiter.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. Like, and I'm not kind of playing my tiny violin either. Like imagine like your entire job is to look at a field of haystacks and someone says, I want you to find a needle and I'm only going to pay you if you find the right needle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you don't find the person, you get paid nothing.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. a lot of recruiters, we don't really have like a much of a basic salary either, because we're based on commission.
Yep.
So if I don't find you a job that you want, I don't eat. So but find a recruiter you trust and follow that recruiter. The right recruiter is someone that will speak to you without wanting to make money off of you. They'll be there to give you advice. They'll be there to kind of, they'll be there for you as a person and build that relationship with you.
And you've certainly found that too, Bobby, right? You've worked with like one or two recruiters your entire
before I started my company, I had I like one or two.
Yep.
And we're still friends today, even though they don't recruit me. I've actually hired from them now, but we're still friends. So
yep.
I think you can build a lifelong relationship with the recruiters.
You can, definitely.
Yeah. And even if the relationship, a lot of times it's really good when you have a relationship that's not totally based on like the transactional nature. It's just different, So like, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So Adam has a question here. What's Adam's question, Kevin?
Yeah, Adam's question is, as a recruiter, can you talk about the importance of contract work for someone trying to break in? You do contract work too?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I think it might be a different dynamic in the UK, because in the UK, contracting is generally something a developer does once they've got a career behind them.
Ooh, okay.
So in the UK, like tech companies hire contractors because they need a problem solving and they need a problem solving now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're talking more about freelance, which is a completely different thing, like freelance will only ever help you. It's just about whether or not you can actually get that work and deliver on it as well. That's a key thing. If you're a freelancer and you're trying to freelance and someone says to you, okay, I've got this project and you don't think you can do it, don't do it. It's not worth that damage to your reputation.
Right.
We were talking about freelancing earlier this week, and that's a similar thing we were talking about with being an idea that you can do if you don't have a full-time position, but it's another way to make money as a developer.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to deliver.
Yes.
So Fiona has a question for you, Leigh. How far do you recruit out of Nottingham? I'm in south of Cambridge. I have no idea where south of Cambridge is, but is that like?
Okay, Cambridge is really, really fancy. Okay. Yeah. I have recruited for Cambridge in the past. I worked with a company down there once doing Java and embedded stuff. Personally, like a lot of my client base is either London or Nottingham or Leicester. But I'm always happy to help people either way.
Okay.
Like something I do every now and then, like if I speak to a junior candidate but I don't have anything for them, I just send them to companies I know and say, hey, I don't want your money. Do you want to give this person a job?
There you go. So Fiona, reach out.
Fiona. Reach out to Leigh on LinkedIn. So
here's a good question, Ryan. How do you find a good recruiter in your area? How do you know what a good recruiter is? That's interesting.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
I know it's really, really daft. But yeah, trial and error. You're going to speak to a lot of recruiters over the lifetime of your career, especially once you get to that kind of mid-level. If you have any kind of LinkedIn and it's set up properly, I am so sorry. Because the problems you have now as a junior developer trying to get a job, you're going to wish you had that. I've spoken to developers that get 100 messages a day from recruiters. But the signs of a good recruiter, just like I was saying, like it's someone that wants to have a conversation about you. They don't want to have a conversation about the job. They don't want to have a conversation about the company. They're someone that is actually going to get to know you as a person and is prepared to say, I am very sorry, but I don't have a role for you right now.
Right.
Like someone that actually wants to know you and get to, like, if I've only got jobs that are paying up to £45,000, and by the way, UK salaries are going to seem like a joke to people over in the US. If I've got like a senior dev job only paying up to 55 and someone wants 60, I'm I'm not going to talk to that person about my £55,000 a year job. But as a recruiter, I am going to get to know that person and see if there's any other way that I can help them. Because in a month's time, I might have that job.
Right.
And I literally have a little database in my head of the people that I know that when something comes up, I will call them and see what they're doing.
Yeah, awesome.
There you go. And our friend Alex Lee suggests that it's like same strategy as dating. So there you go. Which is pretty much what you summed up. Yeah, you gotta trust the person.
Yeah, but when you think about it, it's great as a candidate because recruiters for you are a free resource.
Yeah, they are.
You never pay us. So my advice, honestly, is actually when you find that recruiter, use them as a resource. You know, call them up, say, hey, what's the market like looking at the minute? You know, that kind of thing. Like they're going to tell you because if we tell you, you might say, oh yeah, I'm looking. And you know,
here you go. Fiona's is validating what you're saying here too. Says many recruiters are contacting her, but probably 1 in 10 will ask about my skills in any detail. I'm assuming that 9 out of 10 are looking for the quick hit.
Yeah, it's because, and I don't want to put a lot of blame on recruiters, and I don't want to trash recruiters.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a hard job, it's a tough job, and we're all just trying to do right, and we're trying to do the job. But a lot of recruiters can't code. The vast majority of recruiters can't code. So for that basically leaves a lot of them with having to keyword search because they don't know what MVC means, or they don't know what the difference between MySQL and MS SQL and that kind of thing. So the only thing they have is a client's requirements and what they want, and you're like what they can see you have. So yeah, it's tough. If you ever find a recruiter that knows the tech they're talking about, though, that is also the sign of a good recruiter.
Yeah. So they figured it out and done some fun research. All right, cool.
That's awesome. Okay, we're just over the hour, so I want to be
time here in North Carolina, so you know. All right, Leigh, we enjoyed the conversation. I think you helped a lot of people today, so that's awesome.
Cool.
So if you want to check out Rebel Recruiters, you can. It's rebelrecruiters.co.uk.
Yeah.
Check them out. And if you want to work with Leigh, his details are on there, so you can communicate with him there. So if you're
you can search me on LinkedIn, add me, I'll accept. And yeah. Cool.
You have a lot of LinkedIn connections, I'm guessing, as a recruiter.
I try to limit them.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But we recruiters have different tools. Really, we don't really have the connections.
Yeah.
There's different the whole navigator seat.
I love LinkedIn.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, all right, guys. Enter the coding challenge tomorrow morning. Just make sure you get that done. Let's give away that keyboard and mouse. And next Tuesday, my book gets launched. So if you want to look at it, 5stepstosoftwarejob.com, you can still attend the virtual book launch. And Leigh, you're welcome to come and see our virtual book launch if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite. And it'll be fun. There's a magic show and everything. So it'd be cool.
This magic show book launch we do. That's
exactly. So it'll be fun and entertaining, and then a little bit informative. So anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll give away a keyboard tomorrow, Kevin.
I'm excited. It's gonna be good tomorrow.
Excited. All right.
Be good.
Good luck, guys, and keep coding.